Good morning. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us today, and we thank you for agreeing to share your valuable experience for our CAST Projects conversation series, looking ahead of grade 11. And although we're sure that everyone is aware of you, I'd like Sarnika to introduce you and your remarkable achievements in the music industry first.
Ramesh Vinayakam is an Indian composer, record producer, instrumentalist, singer, as well as a well-renowned lyricist. After realizing that his real ambition is to become a music composer instead of working in an office, he pursued his dream of composing and writing pieces of music. After releasing his successful first album, Pratidmani, he worked as a movie director in Machi Roju, Auntie, and sang in the song Tottu Tottu in Director Vasan's musical. His works have been noted as definitely worth a listen by The Hindu, and he amasses thousands of fans all around the world today.
We'd like to start off by asking you what your favorite aspects are of being a music director and why.
See, I'm a music director in the sense the word music director is slightly different. It has got different connotation in India. And in Western system, it has got a different meaning as well. Because here, a music composer is also called as music director. But a music director is who directs music, asking people to do this and that, and so to get something out of these musicians the exact way they want something. So I am a music director in the connotation as a composer, the first and foremost, basically. I'm a composer. So what is composing? Composing is to create new things. Create not the same thing as others. It's something like innovating. It's finding new tunes, new ideas of expressions and musical, beautiful things, beautiful strands of melody, and then of course orchestration or whatever. There's so many things involved with that. So it's completely inventing all the time, and being yourself and making a mark as a person, as my own self. Whatever that I am, I want to just be myself as a composer. So I will be completely different from everybody else who has lived or who's going to live later. So there's a certain unique, a feeling of being yourself and establishing yourself as yourself. That is one of the most important things to make a mark in music as a person who's completely different from others and who's damn bloody good. That's it. That's the most important aspect. So whenever you are creative, whenever you make new music, whenever you see that it's being also received with great love and the people like your music, then that is one of the best moments that you can ask for. And therefore, this is something which keeps on going for life. It doesn't stop. And the joy of creating new should never stop. So the mind is always young. It doesn't age. If at all it ages, it becomes even better because it has more knowledge and it can even find new ways of innovation. So these are the most important things for me as a composer. And along with that, as a music director or as a music orchestrator or a music arranger and a conductor, there are all other peripheral works as a lyricist and all those things. So it's a very sort of a comprehensive sort of a thing. But the basic fundamental thing is that you are playing God.
So the next question we have is, due to the pandemic, the release of singles or albums by various artists has seen a considerable increase than ever before. What do you think is responsible for this current shift, and what are your views on the matter?
It's a good question because basically in India, the music is always connected with films. So whatever that comes through a film has got a larger reach, penetrates the farthest point of the country because of the hugeness of cinema and the glitter of cinema and glamour of cinema. So when your favorite actor sings something, then you think that he sings it. He doesn't sing it. a guy like me, a good guy like me, composes right behind the screen, but he's not known so much. So, but anyway, but it's always looked from the point of view of the hero that they like or whatever, the heroine they like or whatever. So it has a huge reach, and therefore, in India, the film music has always been the mainstay of music production, and so the COVID has certainly helped a huge shift because music by itself doesn't have to depend upon films because it is an art form by itself. It's a beautiful thing. It is well before filmmaking came into this world. Man found his voice as the earliest man. He made some sounds, wee, and then he found some notes. He found something which is good to him, and somebody liked it, and that became singing. Maybe if you heard the African old tribal music, then you will find that they are basically very early, non-evolved music, but still it's music because it's different from speaking or talking. It does tells an expression without the way we express things in a language. So it also expresses things. For example, it can be instrumental, it can be rhythmic things, and all that. It's a sort of an evolution of man himself. So it was there well before the film making. Man found the machine to shoot somebody. So music should stand on its own. I think that the COVID situation has helped this music to stand on its own in the first place, on its own in the first place, and also it has also given people who are highly talented in their own way, who did not have the chance to go through the whole motions to enter the film industry, to present themselves in the arena. There's only one thing, of course. There's always not so good stuffs also all the time. So even the ones which are not so very good are also uploaded and all those things. And there's a problem of the huge din because if everybody's shouting, you can't hear a good singer. So that's a problem. So that's the overdose of it. That's the other side of the coin. But the best guys have the chance to present themselves, and they found the time and energy and the methodology to find that out and then deliver it. The technology has greatly helped this individual, projecting himself. That's a huge thing. That's what the last 10 years or everything the social media has done to people. I don't know how to balance this sort of a thing where a lot of shouting and good music going together. So that's a problem.
I think it's safe to say that a musician's life, it totally revolves around the studio with, the musical instruments. So the coronavirus is found to spread extensively through surfaces. So how is it to kind of manage this situation in the beginning?
Well, see, basically everything stopped during this period. The problem is that nobody wanted to venture out. In fact, I'm one of the COVID survivors in June last year. You must have read it, basically. The thing is that even if you are at home, you get it. I really did not venture out seriously, but someone went out for a little thing like, they'll have to get some vegetables at my home, and they brought some coronavirus into the home. So the problem is that you can get this virus anywhere you are. So the whole the whole activity came down to a very small circle. And therefore, I think that this is only because of the technology where you have a computer now. I can talk to you, you're far away, and we are able to converse. And the technology has so much improved that you can even record live stuff. For example, I can sing online and you can play online, and then we can actually perform. So that's the speed in which the internet works now, the 5G stuff or 4G stuff, where you have an enormous stride in technological advancement. So that is the key which actually made music making possible all over the globe, between cities, crisscrossing without going anywhere. So that is the I think that the whole thing was possible only because of the advancement of this technological, gadgets and all those things which are available. So that's the way music did happen, if at all it happened. But I thought that as a musician, I'll tell you one important thing is that to make the best out of the worst situation is that you had a lot of time to practice and also to reflect on life, think of other things that you might otherwise not think. So I think that there is always this other side of the coin. If coronavirus is very bad, then the time that it gave you to reflect, or else you would have been running all the time, without knowing what the hell you're doing. So that is a whole a different situation. I think that coronavirus has made people understand.
Could you share an experience in which you used new training skills, ideas, or a method to adapt to a new situation, such as the pandemic? How did you overcome these challenges that you faced initially?
Well, there was really no problem in overcoming there because I think the technology was available. I had access to technology. So once you have access to technology, then everything becomes easy. It's only when you don't have a mobile or a PC or a Mac or something like that that you are disconnected from the world. The moment you have this thing with a Wi-Fi connection, which is good enough, then it gives you the chance to immediately do whatever you want. Like I have even passed on ideas, taught music as if somebody is personally present next to me because of the Zoom and the Google Meets and the Skypes and the all those stuffs that has actually come in. I think that's made my work quite easy. It wasn't difficult at all. It's the maximum difficulty I found was just adjusting my camera. So I don't think it's of any serious consequence. However, I should tell that obviously that the one-to-one interaction from a musician and a singer, for example, when I teach somebody face to face, the physical presence, and that is an entirely different proposition because there is a extraordinary level of understanding as what I have in my mind. For example, as a music director, as a composer, I compose music, and as a director, I teach them and make them perform. Now, when they are directly in front of me, and they can watch me do so many things, the body language, the what I say, and you're more comfortable. Now, actually, I'm literally stuck to my, basically your chair and my chair. You're all, it's a certain amount of, what do you call, consciousness about trying to be, there's a certain amount of self-consciousness about it. So that is something which should not be between musicians. It should be completely free. But however, I think that we achieve a certain amount of advantage, about 80%. But the 20% is very important, but we miss it.
Speaking of adapting to new situations, can you please share with us your experience as a COVID warrior?
I should tell you that the Times carries a news of me. I don't know whether you can Google it. I have written a poem. It has carried a poem. I probably very rare instances when a newspaper publishes a full-fledged poem written by anybody. It normally gives you news. But as a warrior, I should tell that I am never afraid of death. I don't think any man would be afraid of death rather than pain. Pain is even more fearsome than death itself. Most people have, but it doesn't matter. So when COVID came in, I was surprised that I got it. That's the first thing, because I always assume that I am above all these things. So it's a wrong presumption and assumption. So that was completely wrong. And then, of course, I did not get a bed at that time. That was the biggest thing, because after about a week, then I had some problems with my breathing or whatever. And then, though I had isolated myself because my mother is 80 years old, so I had to keep myself confined to a very small place, and then it was possible to manage. And I followed the protocol with all, the fullest, what do you call? Let me say, conforming to the fullest, let me say, rules, all the rules, the right, the fullest spirit of it. And then thereafter, when I had this problem, I did have a problem in getting a bed. There was my great friends, like my singer friends, I know Srinivas, Unnikrishnan, and the legendary S.P. Balasubramanian, who is my sort of godfather to me. And they were all they were greatly worried about my not getting a bed or whatever. So eventually I did come out of it. It did not hurt me more than a little. And then that's when I wrote my poem. So I think that the whole process about when I became a warrior, it was not anything to do with COVID. It was only I was battling my own sense inside my mind and heart of the things that I probably missed out doing in the probable some of those times that I might have wasted or I might postponed. That is the only thing that hurt me when I was down with COVID. So I think that time is of essence. As children, we know that time is of most important, because once the time goes, it doesn't come back. It flies away. It's always, it's a dangerous thing. It keeps on going. So we shouldn't waste time. We should never postpone. We should never be, lethargic or lazy, or, no procrastination. That's the lesson that I think I learned from COVID.
So you also mentioned about how you were able to reconnect with your music friends once you were done with COVID. And has the pandemic also helped you reconnect with old friends and spend more time with your family than usual? And how important was the support, especially when you were battling with COVID?
Battling COVID, in fact, you should read that poem. You should take this thing, because that tells about my inner feelings. And that's where I see that, of course, all those people I love, including my wife, my mother, my sisters, brothers, my sons, I can love them as much as I want, but they can't get near me. And nobody would be ready to come near you, because it's not right also. It's basically. So it's a very funny situation when I was with COVID. But then the whole thing comes down to, most important thing is that he did give us a chance to be together in a weird way, because it was forced upon that. It's a bit unnatural that way. And being within the home, without the pressing sing, without any other activity, I would say that it is not a great thing to have, because anything, even the best thing, too much of something is not good. I think that the world is big and people should go and explore things, have their own peer group interactions. They should have all the things that the world offers. And that way, I feel that being within a circle is something, it's a sort of a big boss stuff. I don't want anyone to see big boss, but the concept of being big boss and that I understand, not for me, but there has been instances when people become too close for comfort. I don't think that's good. But then it did give the family a huge family time, in the sense that they were able to know each other in a very, very deeper way and deeper understanding. And we were able to interact and show our love to each other with great care, and, what do you call it? All that. That's affection. That's the most important underlining point.
Amidst the pandemic, did you face any difficulties with coordinating music rehearsals, especially with safety restrictions?
Well, obviously, we were not meeting at all. Music rehearsals cannot happen in a place during the pandemic, because we cannot get together. That's something which is not allowed anyway. So that's a huge problem. So we were not, in fact, doing any recording, because orchestras, for example, they'll have to be inside a room, 4 or 5 of us, or if it is bigger orchestra, then 40 of them. So this is not good. It's not allowed during that time, obviously, and you can't sing with your mask on. That's also a problem. And then you're going to sing into a mic, then you are actually, you are letting your breath into a very closed room. A recording studio is very close, and it's air conditioned. You don't there's not enough ventilation, not in the normal way. Only the air conditioned ventilation would be there. So this is not a good place to be during COVID, because a singer who has a COVID, then you would be a guy who would, in fact, after you go and sing. So a recording studio is not really an ideal place to be in during pandemic. So I don't think it really did happen much after things were relaxed. And I thought that when all these hot spots went away, we were able to bring together, people, and that's the way we did it. So there was actually no activity, and a certain activity, and then a reasonable activity, I would say that.
Can you please share a message for our students and the wider community through this Looking Ahead conversation series?
Looking ahead, what does it say? It asks you to look at your future and be prepared. Well, I don't know. Nobody can get prepared fully for anything, and you cannot really envisage every situation that might happen tomorrow. The world will never be able to actually predict things. What happens tomorrow is always a suspense. That's the way life is all about. We should really prepare. You see the ant actually works very hard. It doesn't pant, it doesn't rant. I wrote a little poem when I learned from The World is My Teacher. So if you look at the ant does all the things that it can to save some morsel of food for winter, because during winter it cannot venture out. So it just picks up all the food, puts them somewhere there, and saves for the other day. the next day or whatever, the next 6 months maybe. And you see that nature has this ability to, you see a lot of animals do this, keep them in hibernation, and then they do a lot of things. So that is one of the things that we should try to learn. But simply because it's not possible to envisage every possible situation, a problem, the best part in preparing should be in the spirit. It's the spirit in which the spirit which you will have to keep alive and see that you are ready for any eventuality by preparing so many things and having a great mind that is never cowed down by any bad situation. Anything that might come, then it's up to your spirit. The spirit is what it's all about. It is not then the spirit there is there. Whenever there is spirit, then you can always find the way, because we'll have the will. Where there's a will, there's a way. So the spirit is important. The mind is important. A calm mind, a quiet mind, which can go through things, understand things, act in the best way, and be not tensed. And that is what you should develop. So as far as looking ahead is concerned, I think that the first and foremost is about the children, whoever it is, even for me, is to create a sort of a mind, to have a sort of a mind to deal with situation, come what may. So that is exactly what you should have. You should have the grit and determination and tenacity to win even when all the chips are down. That is what one should have. So I think the whole concentration should be, apart from whatever things that you might be looking ahead for your future, you have the ability of positivity in your mind. That's what.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. This interview gave us a very valuable insight into the life of a music director amidst the pandemic, and we appreciate your dedication and for agreeing to be a part of this interview. Thank you so much.